And let me know, Allie, when you feel like we're ready to kind of jump in with the group here after they register, because I'll keep putting the registration link in as folks trickle in.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Allie Schachtel. I work on behalf of Jenna Schulman's College Consulting. Full-time, I'm a school counselor in Bergen County, and then I work part-time for Jenna. Thank you, everyone, for coming on this webinar tonight with University of Colorado Boulder and with Lindsay. Hopefully, anyone on the East Coast didn't lose power or have anything too bad with the storm. Again, there's a link in the chat box to register, so Lindsay has your information. And there will be a form or a current student that'll come on and talk in a little bit, and then we'll do question and answers. But at any point, just write your question in the chat box and we'll get to you. And that's about it. So I'll turn, oh, is there someone chatted, but I'll read that. But all right, so I'll hand it over to Lindsay.
Yeah, hi, thank you for hosting. I've worked with Jenna for many years now. So I represent CU Boulder. At University of Colorado, we call it CU or CU Boulder. I'm a local Coloradan. I'm in Denver, so it's not quite dinner time for me. It's 4 p.m. here. And I am an alumna. I went to CU Boulder for my undergraduate degree, and I just finished my 7th year with our office and my 7th year representing New Jersey. So love the Garden State, been up all over Bergen County, among many others. Working with students to see if CU Boulder is going to be a good match for them and a good fit for them in their college education. So what we will do tonight is kind of a more workshop-y, interactive, getting to know of the campus. And rather than walk you through a PowerPoint, I want to walk you through some really important web pages and ask you questions and kind of interact with them. And then we'll have Kaylin, who is a current CU Boulder student ambassador, studying in environmental design, come on and talk a little bit about himself. And then we will have time for lots of Q&A. So I know some questions are coming in, and please feel free to keep chatting them. If I can catch them while I'm going, I'll try to stop mid-response, but otherwise, you know, I'll get to it, but I might just wait till we're at the kind of Q&A stage to address those, just depending on the traffic for all the folks. I know we've got kind of a wide variety of people in the room, including we've got, I think, some students, we might have some parents, we've got some counselors from other areas in the country, which is great. Well, I know I saw Texas in there, welcome. I don't quite hit the ranks of Texas recruitment. They are a larger state for Buffs than New Jersey, but not by much. New Jersey is our 4th largest state represented on campus, so you're not going to be alone. With that, I can't see the guests or anything, so I can't get like your reaction. So I'm just going to trust that you're following along with me and kind of engaging here. And I think you can kind of chat your answers if you want to, but we'll go ahead and I'll share my screen. And then every time I share a page, I'm going to put it in the chat. So if you want to follow on my screen what I'm looking at, you can, or if you want to follow on your own screen, you can. But I want to introduce you kind of just to CU Boulder in general, and kind of start really big picture about like who we are as an institution, what we stand for, what we believe in, kind of what we think our purpose is as the flagship institution for education in the state of Colorado. So I'm going to start with, there we go. This page, which is our about page, and then I'm going to go ahead and see if I have the share feature. I do. Okay, great. So this is the screen I wanted to share with you all. Okay, I think Allie, I can hear you. Do you see the page that says about? Okay, or maybe someone can chat if you don't see that page. So you should see the about page. So
I do.
Okay, great. I want to make sure I'm sharing right. I'm doing dual monitors, which I normally don't have. So I just kind of want to introduce you to who we are. So we're CU Boulder, like I mentioned. That's kind of a fun little trivia thing. We are University of Colorado, but in the 1950s, we were trying to distinguish our university independent of the California system, which is really the UC system in the country that most people refer to. So we just decided to be CU. So when you hear CU Boulder, that is us, University of Colorado Boulder. So we really have three strategic imperatives on our campus, kind of three modes of operation, three reasons for existing. The first is for shaping tomorrow's leaders, and so that's a really big part of what we want to see out of your college education. So I like to bring that one up. And then we also have being innovative, so making sure that we are really pushing the status quo, coming up with new opportunities in our academics and with our students and kind of experiences that they have. And then our third kind of reason for being, our third drive as an institution, is to positively impact humanity. So making sure that when you come and you get a CU Boulder education, you're really acknowledging the significance of that, and then the privilege and the power that comes in that, and leveraging it for our human race and for the globe. So we really want to put our education and our learnings into practice with our fellow humans. So just thinking about those, you can kind of reflect on your own if there's one of those imperatives that you're really attached to, or one that really stands out to you. Which one is it? Is it the leadership? Is it the innovation? Is it the positively impacting humanity? Just kind of reflect on if any of those really stand out to you, or they're really meaningful for you. Because that is, I think, before I can talk about anything else as an institution, we have to start there. That's really what we're about. All right, so the next page I want to show you all is what you can actually study at CU Boulder. I'm gonna chat you all this link. Oh, I can see that there's Q&A now. Oh, okay. Sorry, this is all new. I have not used a webinar before. So, okay. So here's the next page that we're at. So it definitely helps to get to know CU Boulder, kind of like what is our feel academically. We are a large public research institution. So we have about 32,000 total students enrolled, about 27,000 of them are undergraduate students. So when you look at this page, these are not necessarily all of our majors, but these are all of our kind of disciplines and interests that you can pursue. So you keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Kind of the theme here is a lot of variety, a lot of in-depth practice, and a lot of intersectional kind of interplay across these different disciplines. So we see, you know, STEAM, right, arts and tech. We see education and like civic engagement. We see you know, activism and journalism. So lots of ways for you to kind of do interdisciplinary work. So on this page, again, on your own or with me now, you can kind of scroll through and see if you find your major, see if you find a discipline you're super interested in. What I usually like to do for students too, when I can like see them in the room or when we're actually talking together, is also get you to think about more of how you want to spend your time in the classroom than besides your major. Because a really big part with CU Boulder is a general education liberal arts curriculum. So yes, you will specialize. You'll get your degree. Possibly that will be the name of your field or your profession, like engineering or marketing. But you will also be taking, elective courses. You'll also be taking, I'm going to close my door. General education courses, and you'll have like a very big mix of academics. So if that's something that you're super drawn to, if you kind of like the variety, if you're kind of sitting there right now thinking, you know, I kind of am torn between 3 different majors, I don't know, I know I could change my mind. This could be a really good academic environment for you because that exploration, that kind of cross-departmental layering is really common, it's encouraged, and it's kind of built into your degree. So you can check out this page to see what those academics are that we really offer. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the local life and show you a little bit more about what our students are doing. So this is kind of your look into the actual campus area. So this is our kind of housing introduction. Our first year students are required to live on campus, and that includes an academic or like lifestyle component depending on the building that you live in. So you might live in like the business hall or the engineering hall or something like that. It also includes your off-campus experience. So about 75% of our students are sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and our graduate students live off campus. So that is equally an important part of kind of the scene and the vibe of Boulder. Boulder. And the next page I'll show you all is kind of zoomed out to get to know Boulder and not just campus. But it kind of just starts very locally first with living on campus your first year in one of our, I think, 25 different residence halls. So if you're on this page, you can actually start to profile the different residential communities and how they're different, like their locations, what the exterior looks like. You get to see all of your dining options that we have when they're, you know, fully operational. You have, I think, 15 different dining centers. So it's a really cohesive campus experience when you're a first year, because the place that you're living is going to be near your classes, it's going to be where you eat, it's going to be near your libraries, it's going to be near your rec center. We have a very kind of cohesive, contained campus space. It's not very spread out, all things considered. It's pretty condensed and it's pretty finite. There's not a lot of sprawl for our campus. Like once you enter campus, you're mostly in like the predominant campus area. We have a couple research facilities that are like a half mile off to the side, but for the most part, everything is really in that self-contained community. So for your first year, you really get that kind of holistic transition to the area. You'll also notice that there's, when it comes to dining, like a lot of different dining options. Boulder is a really foodie town. We have some wonderful restaurants and local places to eat, and that kind of extends into campus life. Also really big on like alternative diets or like different kinds of dietary needs. So like there's a really big like farm to table movement. There's a lot of like vegan eaters and vegetarians on campus. You'll find like a really high quality allergen labeling system. So in general, just like very accommodating to diet and very foodie about it. So really, really good food that you can eat in Boulder and on campus, really locally sourced as well. So a little bit kind of zooming into what it's like to be a student directly on campus. The next page is a little bit more zoomed out about what it's like off campus. So this is kind of discovering the Boulder area. This is an area that I really love to talk about because I think one of the huge benefits of being a student is being a member of our community in Boulder, Colorado. Really, it's, you can see, #1 college town in America, really, really high quality of life. You'll see from the pictures, you know, we are nestled. This is a picture that could be taken like a 5-minute walk from the student union where these people are hiking at Chautauqua. So really high quality of life in that there's ample ways to de-stress, to stay physically active, to get to know and support your community. Of course, there's the higher level learning that's happening in your classroom experiences. So, you know, we kind of have that holistic approach to student wellness and student success that you get by being in not just a student or university, but being in the Boulder Valley and being in that community. So a couple of areas that you can explore. We have the Boulder Creek Path. We have downtown Boulder, which is Pearl Street. You can again see the Flatirons are silhouetted, so it kind of gives you an idea of how close everything is. I describe Boulder as kind of like a mini city in that it's like very accessible, very local. You can walk a mile from the student union to hiking trails. You can walk a mile from the student union to downtown Boulder. So it's very accessible, but it's not rural, it's not suburban. It really has that kind of kinetic vibe of a city because there's just a lot going on. So like on Pearl Street, we have, I think, almost 300 different local restaurants and stores and retail shops. We do our own parade every Friday when the football team has a home game. We have what's called the Stampede. So the football team and the marching band do a parade up and down Pearl Street that the locals go to, the students go to. So it's this nice kind of combination of being very accessible, very much in reach of our students and getting to know the community, but also very energetic, very involved, lots of options, lots of things happening in the area. Conversely, you can go to the Hill, which is a kind of college district. That's where you find like our Greek life. That's where you find like your sandwich shops, your pizza shops, your you know, concert venues. So kind of a fun, young, college-based neighborhood. The Hill doesn't really go to sleep until like 2 or 3 in the morning, right when the shops close and stuff like that. And then you've got Chautauqua Park. So Chautauqua Park is local hiking within, again, like a 10-minute walk from the student union. You can be out and hiking in those trails and get up to you know, maybe like 7,000, 8,000 feet elevation if you want to have some good views. And then how you get around, if you go down a little bit more, here's some of our buildings just being featured if you want to see what those spaces are like. But in terms of how you get around is also, again, really accessible for our students. We pay for the public transit for all of our students and staff and faculty, so you can get around for busing. Walking, I'd say, is probably the most popular. It's just a highly walkable community and campus. And then biking is super popular, as well as running. I don't think you're necessarily running to get places, but running is a really popular activity in the Boulder Valley and on campus. So kind of giving you a sense of how students spend their time, like where they spend their time. It is really a self-contained community. So we are fortunate we're about 30 minutes from downtown Denver, so 30 minutes from a major international airport, 30 minutes from a downtown hub, a downtown economy. So it's very nice to have that, but our students are not suburban, like extra students of Denver, right? Their hub, their social community, their recreational community, their academic and professional community is in Boulder. And you can find all of those needs met in Boulder. You can supplement it with Denver. You can branch out in Denver, and you can certainly get to know Denver. It's a great city, and it's where I currently live. But I think it's important to know that even though we are a small town, we are still distinctively kind of our own space. And you have that kind of option to branch out when you need to, but you don't need to go to Denver to get a job. You don't need to go to Denver to find housing. You don't need to go to Denver to find a sporting event or a like a concert or like a arts, you know, community thing like that. So that's kind of a little bit of a look into the Boulder area. And I encourage you to check out this page a little bit more if you want to learn more about Boulder. My final 2 pages are just making sure I cover some of the logistics before we hop over to Kaylin, our current student, and before we do some Q&A, which is about the admissions and about the cost. And I think I saw a question come through about admissions too. So first I want to just send this over to you all. And this is kind of your go-to page on how to apply to CU Boulder. So some of you may be about to start your senior year, or you would have students who are about to start their senior year. So this is kind of the best stop to make sure you have information you need for the CU Boulder application. As an admission counselor, I do read for the state of New Jersey. I also read for a couple different communities in the state of Colorado. So each of you has your regional representative who is kind of your first counselor review for any application. So feel free to contact that individual if any of you are here not from New Jersey today. For example, Texas, her name is Perry Watts, and she represents the whole state of Texas, and she lives in the Dallas area. So with admissions, again, I would recommend just checking out this page more in depth on your own as you get ready to go through this process. But a couple of things, we do have a pretty in-depth checklist, so you want to make sure all those items are turned in. And that this year for seniors, we are test optional. Colorado is an SAT kind of subsidized state, so meaning the state pays for every student to take the SAT. So we have an entire class of Coloradans who haven't gotten their test because of COVID-19 restrictions. So knowing that our state has really been hurting from that alone, we knew that was going to be a national and international trend. So we are making the submission of a standardized test score an option for you when you apply, but no longer a requirement for the upcoming year. It's a temporary status. We do not know if the state will approve that extension, but for anybody who's about to start their senior year, you do not have to submit a test score to have a complete application for review. So that's a really big one I wanted to point out. And again, you can kind of check out who your admission counselor is here on this tool. And the very last page is talking kind of quickly about cost and financial aid. So if you go to the same page that I was just on, there's another tab that says cost and finances. And so you'll mostly be routed to the Office of Financial Aid for this, but we have some high level information for you. One being the tuition guarantee. We guarantee that your tuition is what it is for 4 years. We do not increase it ever for current students within 4 years. So it's a 0% increase rate when you're a student. That's super important so it doesn't just sneak up on you every year. Here are our estimated costs. This is not tuition, this is cost. So when you actually click on, for example, the breakdown for a non-resident student, you're actually going to see the tuition, the room and board for being a first-year student. You'll see if there's any specific fees based on the major that you're going to pursue, as well as you can start to see other things you might be paying for, like a wrap, like if you're going to live in the arts wrap and you're going to pay for art classes or things like that. So with that, we have an extensive office, the same way that we have admissions and financial aid to help you navigate cost and aid and steps and things like that. So we have professionals who will answer your questions about your FAFSA submission, about deadlines, about your estimate. They also operate our CU Boulder scholarship application, which has, I think, over 600 different opportunities to apply for aid from the institution to use to pay for your costs at CU Boulder. So lots and lots of information available, lots of resources, lots of help. We know that's a huge conversation for students and families. So always want to point you to their office and to their resources just to get the conversation going. And it may come down to, you know what, this cost is not really in our range. This isn't going to be a good fit for us. And we want you to know that early on enough that you can make that decision for CU Boulder. So just making sure you're aware of the resources we have here and you know, what is available for, especially for an out-of-state student, since that's probably the majority of the folks who are here in the room today. With that, I'm going to see if any questions have come through to chat me, and then I'll introduce our student who is here, here from CU Boulder to talk a little bit about himself too. So let me go ahead and just go into our Q&A. So we had somebody ask about changing their major. So I'm gonna go and answer that one, that you can change your major pretty flexibly all the way until you become a student. So let's say you applied yesterday, because the application is open, it opened on August 1st, and you applied to be a mechanical engineer, but maybe in 3 months you're really deciding you want to be in marketing. You can actually do that on your own. You just go into your application page and put in a different major. After that, if you need to change it again, you need to start talking to your counselor, because we can help you figure out like what's going on, why you want to keep changing, do you need more guidance? But then let's say we have a conversation and I'm like, oh, what you're really describing is advertising, which is a different major, then I can go in and I can help you, you can change your major again. And even then, once you become a student, you can also still change your major. So that at that point, you don't talk to admissions, but you talk to your academic advisor, and you'd say, hey, I actually think I found a different route because I took this class, I fell in love with it, I'm gonna go change my major. So pretty flexible on our campus to do that. So there was another question in terms of receiving merit aid for test scores. And so that is actually something that still hasn't been confirmed with the campus, mostly because we only found out we were allowed to go test optional, I think like 4 weeks ago. So Colorado, as the flagship public school for the state, we were actually required to have test scores as a requirement in our application process. So we had to go and lobby with the legislature and the governor to approve that legislation. So that took a couple months to get passed and approved. So we're still kind of figuring out how we can do scholarships without test scores that are automatic and merit-based. We do have scholarships that do not require test scores, so that won't change. But our automatic merit awards are currently based on a combination of test score and GPA. So we're still determining if and how we could deliver those awards without a test score. And it's really split across the country. Some schools, they have a method, and some schools, they continue to require test scores to give merit aid. So we don't have that process updated at this point for students. I know applications are coming in, so obviously that's going to be kind of confirmed soon. But at this point, it is an option. So if you have a score, I would recommend sending it in. But if you don't, it won't hurt your admissions, but we don't know yet if we're able to do a merit review automatically without that score. So unfortunately, not a lot of clarity on that right now, but we are definitely going to figure out that process so we can review those applications for that aid. Okay, so we have a lot of students coming in about kind of like CU Boulder student life and some other specifics. So what I will do is please feel free to keep sending these questions in. And if I think I can answer them one off, I will chat you your answer. And if I think, if I'm seeing a lot of them coming in of the same question, I'll bring it up to the group. But with that, I'll kind of hand it over to Kaylin, our ambassador. So Kaylin, we have about 10 minutes for you to kind of talk about what you're studying, what you do at CU Boulder, if you came from in-state, out-of-state, your involvement, and kind of let the students know a little bit about what it's like for you to be a buff. Some of the folks here are from New Jersey. We have actually a couple of counselors who are from across the country. I think we've got some parents in the room. And I don't know that anyone here has been to Colorado, so you might have a couple who visited, some who've never been. That's a little bit of context for you.
All right, sweet. So as she said, my name is Kaylin. I am a senior at CU, and I'm studying environmental design with a dual emphasis in architecture and urban planning, and then certificates in lighting and LEED. What it's like at CU is absolutely incredible. I won't lie, it wasn't my first choice just because I grew up in Colorado, so I really didn't want to go to Colorado. I wanted to go explore, but one thing that really drew me to CU was just the community that is at CU, whether in-state or out-of-state. Like, we have about a 60-40 split on average, which is pretty great because you get to meet so many people from different backgrounds, everything else like that, which I really love. And just the community as a whole at CU and in the Boulder area are absolutely incredible. Like, it's when you get to Boulder, it's pretty much like entering 25 square miles surrounded by reality, which I absolutely love because like the backdrop of the Flatirons, if you haven't seen a picture, definitely just look up like CU Boulder Flatirons because it's absolutely incredible. It looks like it's photoshopped, but it's not. And you can go hiking up in the trails, so it's really like great to go out, be outdoors, and a bunch of other stuff like that. What were the other questions, Lindsay?
If you could, Kaylin, can you kind of describe, maybe not the daily level, but like the weekly level of your life? Like, what days do you typically have classes? Like, what do you do when you're not in class? Kind of give us the week in the life of Kaylin.
Okay. So I would definitely say my week in a life is a lot different than other students. I like to be really active, be that like going out running or just in the community as a whole. So we have over 500 different clubs and organizations on campus, and I'm a part of 10 of them. So I really get super active in like life on campus. But that's not to say that you have to be super active outdoors. We have clubs and organizations on campus that really go towards, like we have a laser tag and pancakes club where they will go out and literally just go play laser tag and then eat pancakes in the morning, which is super awesome. So that's one that I'm a part of. I love doing it just because the people are so nice and you can go out. But as far as like classes and stuff go, you really get to just create your own schedule. So my schedule, I like to have the mornings free to go to work or go for a run, anything like that, and then the afternoons to go to classes. So this semester, I actually start all of my classes around 1 or 2, and then I'm done by 4. But I spend the mornings to go be a part of the different clubs and organizations and everything else like that. I see a question here. How many large lectures do I have? At the beginning, my first year, I definitely had more than I do now. My major is really oriented more towards one-on-one time. So we have way smaller class sizes than larger lectures, but I do also know of other majors where they have those larger lectures, but it's just for those general classes that they're going to be taking, like general physics, general chemistry, that sorts of stuff. But really, once you get into your major and start moving up, those class sizes do get a lot smaller. So you don't worry too much about large lectures or anything like that. There are ways to make those lectures smaller. Oh, geez. There's so many questions. How difficult is it to achieve an A in most of your classes? I would definitely say that achieving an A in your classes is up to you. If you're the type of person that's like a go-getter and like, oh, I really want this A, it's definitely achievable. One big thing I recommend with it is going to office hours to go talk to professors, because professors are absolutely there to just help you succeed. And one thing I really love is in talking to my professors, I was actually able to go to Toronto with one of my professors and go for an architecture conference there, and then another conference in Minnesota with a professor, which was super sweet. So office hours are your greatest help to help achieve that A, or even just get opportunities that you never even knew were possible, which is super sweet. Yeah. Let's see. Do students spend time outdoors? If so, what are some popular activities and how is the weather? So Colorado, we have 300 different days of sunshine, which is absolutely incredible. So people do love to spend time outdoors. Just about a mile away from campus, we have Chautauqua, which is great place to go hiking, biking, whatever you're into, just a mile away from campus, right up in the Flatirons. Some of the popular activities, definitely hiking, and then in the winter months, going skiing and snowboarding. One of our largest clubs on campus is our Boulder Freeride Club, which they will go to all of the different resorts that are on the Epic Pass or whatever the other one is. It varies year to year. They just see what students get more of those passes, and then they'll go skiing at those ones. So those are like Eldora, A Basin, and a bunch of other ones. And Eldora is about 45 minutes away, and you actually have a bus pass that will take you directly up to those places to go skiing or anything like that. And then the Boulder Freeride Club actually has their own bus that will take students up as well. So pretty sweet there. And the weather, 300 days of sunshine. It's absolutely beautiful. I love Colorado. How do you, okay, so the next one was, how do you pick a roommate to live with? You can pick a roommate in a couple of different ways. I know that they are changing it, that they did change it this year, but when I applied, we pretty much had 3 different ways to choose a roommate, for the first year, that is. And that was going through the application. You could fill it out, and then you could either just be like, oh, I don't really care, just put me with whoever, and C would then just choose somebody for you. Or the other option is you could come in with like your friend and be like, oh, me and Billy, we want a room together, and then they would put you and Billy together as long as you both chose the same residence hall to live in. And then the third way was just filling out like a eHarmony sort of way, where it's like, oh, I like to run, I wake up at 6 a.m., I like to go to bed at 10 p.m., and then they'll find people with similar interests and habits as you and give you a whole list where you can go in and talk to them to figure out if it would actually be a good fit for you or not. And then after your first year, we have what's called our Ralphie's list, where you can choose a roommate that way. Or a lot of students will just find roommates through their classes and whoever they're friends with. So that's a great way to find a roommate. Other question is, can you waive the health insurance if you have your own? You can waive the health insurance if you do have your own. I have my own and I waive it. So it's a super easy process. They'll actually send you an email saying, hey, just so you know, the health insurance is coming up. Here's how you can waive it. And they'll walk you through the whole process. So it's super easy. Yeah. Are you there, Lindsay?
Hi, I just got kicked out of here. I'm so sorry. I know you're in good hands with Palin though. Yeah, somebody asked about enrollment in Leeds, and they have some 3,500 students in the business school at Leeds. So I know that was one of the questions in there. And then there was also some questions about Greek life. And Kaylin, do you do any kind of Greek like co-ed or anything like that?
I don't, but I can give you some information if you'd like on it.
Yeah, so I mentioned, I already chatted that it's about 10 to 15% of our student body. We do have the traditional Panhellenic, like rushing and pledging that you can do. I think some like 40 houses, it's quite big, but we also have, like I mentioned, the co-ed communities. So for example, if you wanted to be in like a journalism fraternity or a business fraternity, it's not actually like a house, it's a co-ed like professional community that you can join if you wanted to do that too. So kind of your traditional Greek Panhellenic as well as your kind of national co-ed organizations. You can add anything else to that, Galen.
Definitely, yeah. So she pretty much nailed it. It's not that big. Like she said, it's about 10 to 15% of our student body. And you don't have to feel like you need to be a part of it. I have friends who are like totally gung-ho about it and want to be in that Greek life. And then me, who I'm like, I don't really want to be in Greek life or anything like that. And you definitely find your niche of people. But one thing I do recommend is if you're even slightly considering wanting to be in Greek life, definitely go for it. The rush weeks are like the third week of classes in the fall semester, and that's the bigger rush week. And then in the spring semester, they do also do another rush week as well. But if you want to be a part of it, rush it, and you can always leave. One of the other ambassadors, she joined it, and then in a month she was like, not really for me, and she's still friends with all of those sorority sisters that she met and everything else like that, and she's actually getting a house with them now. So it's a great opportunity to meet friends, but don't feel like you have to join it because there's so much more to do at CU than just Greek life.
Yeah, it's definitely not one of those like, go Greek or having a social life. I'm also an alumni. I didn't do Greek, but I had a lot of friends that did. And like he said, we still maintained like our own social circles. So also not like cliquey and divisive. You can be totally involved in other intersecting circles and keep those social networks going. There was a question about unique and popular majors. So we have the standard kind of top 10 that you'll see for most large public liberal arts schools. So things like English, history, economics. We have a very popular aerospace and mechanical engineering program, as well as a biomedical engineering, which is starting its first year now. Its students are in that program. We also have some more unique majors. We have atmospheric and oceanic sciences, which is kind of like climatology, which is not marine biology, but climatology and weather science. So that's kind of a unique one out there. We also have data science majors independent of information science, as well as computer science, so lots of specialization. And then again, a lot of specialization within our biological department. So sometimes students will tell me, I noticed that you didn't have biology, and we actually have 5 biology departments. That's how specific it is. So you won't necessarily just see biology. You'll see neuroscience, you'll see evolutionary ecology and biology, you'll see integrated physiology, you also see biochemistry, in addition to biological engineering and biomedical engineering. So lots of specialization within fields. And I think what Kaylin's pursuing, environmental design, is a really unique program. You don't see a lot of undergraduate design programs like he's in. So I do think that's something that's pretty substantial to get to do like studio-based work as an undergrad. I don't know if there are other majors that stand out to you, Kaylin, that you think are striking or unique that you want to share.
I kind of just think they're all unique. They all have their different elements that are really cool and something that you wouldn't really think you could major in, but it's there.
I also think one of my favorite academic endeavors to learn about are people's certificates and concentrations. So a lot of our students will choose to add kind of an extra layer of expertise in a certificate. Did you say you're getting a lighting and design certificate?
Yeah, so I'm getting a lighting one and then a certificate in lead as well.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, and the lighting certificate, it's pretty much like certificates. One way you can think about it is they're pretty much like minors, except you just take a little bit less classes and they're more focused and intensive on whatever you're going into. So the lighting class, we had 4 different classes that you had to take one semester followed by the next ones. So it was 4 semesters of lighting classes, and they really went heavy into everything that you would need to know as a lighting designer or anything like that. So I loved it. It was great. And definitely if you do choose CU, like go into one of those certificates because they're really cool.
Mm-hmm. We have a certificate called Space. I think space actually might even be a minor.
Mhm.
And then we also have one called Arctic Studies, and the Arctic Studies one, it's part ethnic studies, so you do like ethnographic studies of Indigenous people in the Arctic Circle. It's part political science, you talk about the geopolitics of the Arctic, and then it's part climatology. So then you work with the ATOC department on like polar science. So you get a certificate in Arctic Studies, and you have all three of those departments: the geopolitics, the ethnic studies, and the climate studies all coming together. So really, really neat ways to kind of specialize and really bring together like the disciplines that you're interested in. So unique in the sense that it's very personalized. And then there was a question about if we have accelerated majors. We have accelerated graduate programs. So if you wanted to do like a 3-2 or a 4-1 undergraduate master's route, you can't do that. We even have some accelerated doctoral programs where you could apply for the master's, but then you could actually internally get into the doctoral program and finish that in 5 years or so, or 6 years, depending on your discipline. So there's definitely routes to get accelerated post-secondary degrees. In terms of undergraduate degrees, they're going to take 120 to 130 credits and typically done over 4 to 4.5 years. And that's all the chat questions that have come in. Favorite place to eat in Boulder, Kaylin?
Ooh, in Boulder. There's this really good taco place, Pika's. It's off of Arapahoe. It's super great. They have amazing tacos down there. I love it. But even there's like up on the hill, there's tons of great places. Cosmos Pizza is an awesome place, especially.
You got East Coasters here. You got to be careful. You can't rave about our pizza when you got East Coasters in the room.
Well, it is really good, and they're open super late. So as night owls, like, incredible to just go grab a slice of pizza and meet up with your friends there. Everybody is super awesome there, but those two are definitely some of my favorites. What about you?
Cosmos is a classic. So I don't really like spicy ranch, but everybody likes to get the spicy ranch at Cosmos, dip your pizza in it. So if anybody's coming out to visit and they're going to get food, go to Cosmos. Let's see. I mean, the Dark Horse, that's my favorite. It's not a culinary masterpiece, but the Dark Horse is like a local like divey place, and they have a burger and like a soda for $5, I think, when I was a student. I don't know if they still do that, but I had a lot of cheap burgers at the Dark Horse. So kind of fun college town vibe. Now that I get to go out and have like a real adult dinner and I can actually pay for my food, I like to go to the Med. So it's a restaurant with Mediterranean featured food. So those are my favorites.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a question here about research opportunities, and then I've got a second question about travel. So research is a huge part of our undergraduate experience here. On the pages that I shared with you all in the chat earlier, there's actually an entire tab just about research on our campus. We have 12 different research institutes that we run as an institution, and I think like 95 plus different labs that we run on our campus. And so research is really, sometimes it's embedded in the degree, depending on what you're like. If you're going to study psychology, you're going to do research. And sometimes it's more there as an opportunity for students who want that kind of extra level of engagement. And that is cross-disciplinary. So yes, research is big in STEM, obviously. But as an alumna, I got my degree in the Department of Humanities, and I also did departmental research for comparative literature. So when I got credit for that, I did a thesis, I defended it, I graduated with Latin honors. So basically research is just the ability to ask a question and be given the time and the resources to find the answers to that question. And if you really like what you found out or you think it's important, to share that. So our students will go on and they'll be published in national journals. They'll go on and do like conference presentations on their findings. They'll go abroad and do more in-depth research there, or kind of, collaborate with their findings. And so a lot of times it's partnered with faculty. So there's a faculty researcher who's already engaged in something and you can join their lab. Or our students do their own undergraduate research. So we have something called UROP, which is the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program. And it is a specific stipend program for undergraduate researchers. So if you wanted to go off and explore something and you needed money to get the equipment, or you needed money to pay for rent because you're not working, because you're doing your research, whatever it is, you can actually apply for that research stipend and be your own head researcher. And we have about 2,000 students who take advantage of that program every year. I don't know if you want to add anything about research, Keelan.
No, I think to get a research opportunity, like I've said before, office hours are your greatest like help in that realm, because a lot of the professors on campus are doing their own side research. So you can just go in, talk to them, and they will be more than happy to talk about their own research and what they're doing. And if it's something that you're interested in, definitely you can get involved with that and research with them. Or like Lindsay said, you can do your own research, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm. There was a separate question about just getting to Colorado. And so I think you've got 2 Colorado locals here, so we haven't had to travel far to get home. But having worked with the East Coast for a long time, especially with New Jersey, so for our out-of-state students, who are, by the way, about 45% of our student body come from outside of Colorado. Almost 9% are outside of the US. So pretty big geographic mix here on campus. I would say, especially using public transit, pretty smooth to get to Boulder. I'm super bummed because Southwest Airlines is not flying to Newark anymore, and I am a Southwest Airlines flyer. But up until that departure, I always flew out of Newark Liberty, and so it is a direct line to Denver. Even without Southwest, Denver is a major, we're like right in the middle of the country. So it's a major stop and destination for a lot of direct flights from the East Coast. So you don't need to have layovers or connections. You know, if you plan accordingly, I could get a round trip to the East Coast for like $300 on something like Southwest with free checked bags. So it wasn't breaking the bank too much. It's a direct flight. It's about 4.5 hours coming out to Denver. It's about 3.5 hours going out to New Jersey with the tailwind and the headwind. So, you know, manageable. It's, you know, no longer than getting in the car and driving down to North Carolina to go to school there. And then from there, you'll get off at DIA, and campus is about a 45-minute drive from the Denver airport. You'll learn this, Colorado airports are like way, way out east outside of the cities, I think because of mountains and climate. So it's about a 45-minute drive from the airport to campus, but if you want to use that public transportation that I mentioned, it's totally free. That takes about an hour. So from the terminal to the Student Union, which is like the building right behind Kalin, right to the side, 1 hour on a bus for free. And it's an airport charter, so they have like the huge undercarriage where everybody can put all their luggage. So as a recruiter, when I need to go to campus or go straight to a flight from work, like I use the same line because it's also free for me as a staff member. So I would say for flying 2,000 miles, it's pretty economical, and it's, you know, 2 transfers, like you get from the airport to the airport and then 1 bus right up to campus.
Yeah, and that transportation isn't just to the airport. You get a whole RTD bus pass, which can take you everywhere in Boulder. So there's not really a need for a car or anything like that. You can just hop onto the bus and go all the way around Boulder. You can get to Denver. You can get to Red Rocks for concerts, anything like that. So transportation around Colorado as a whole is super great. Or you can even ride your bike, and in Boulder, they're so bike friendly that they'll make sure to clear all of the bike paths before they do the roads, which is super cool because you can literally just bike wherever you want to go and get around easy that way, which is super cool too.
Yeah, and they're pretty good. We don't get a ton of snow on the Front Range. Like we do, it's the Rocky Mountains. It does snow. We do have like winter as a season. But the Front Range, which is like all the major cities on the east of the Rockies, it's pretty mild. Like we are not ski towns. We're not Aspen, Colorado. It's not going to be 5 degrees. It's the average temperature in January in Boulder is 47 degrees Fahrenheit. So if and when we need plowing, it's pretty easy. We don't get many snow days, unfortunately. We don't live in a snow globe. I would love if we did. So I know as someone had mentioned the weather, and that's a conversation I have a lot of folks from the East Coast. It's very dry here, so 47 degrees can be very pleasant. It could look exactly like it does in Kalen's background. It could be sunny. You could be wearing a t-shirt and maybe some jeans. And, you know, 87 equally not so unbearably humid and hot when it's that, you know, temperature. So all things considered, I really like our climate. I think it's seasonal, but it's also not too extreme. So I think y'all can hang with our cold. It won't be terrible.
Yeah.
We had somebody ask about SAT and ACT scores of an admitted business student. So I will point out on the admissions page that I sent you all, there is actually the middle 50% posted for every one of our colleges. So we have 7 on our school. We have arts and sciences, engineering, business, music, education, environmental design, and journalism. And so all of those colleges have a middle 50% profile of the students who were admitted to that college. So you can actually see what was the typical range for that specific major. So obviously with testing, it's going to look a little bit different for those that are starting their senior year. For those that are kind of just wondering what their range was for the university, our SAT range is about 1160 to a 1380. If you're looking for the specifics for a major, I'm going to go ahead and chat you all that page so that you can see what those breakdowns look like. It is a little bit higher for business. It probably starts at like a 1260 for business. And then internships and study abroad. While I am getting the links over, I'll let Kaylin talk about anything about internships and abroad, and I can also chime in once I get you these links sent.
For sure. So internships are super accessible on campus if you're looking for them. Pretty much college is you learning how to think for yourself and go do things for yourself. And finding an internship is definitely one of those. So I found a couple of mine through professors' office hours. So again, office hours come back. If you're looking for an internship, a lot of professors know like different people who are hiring. Like they are there and they have created their own network of people that they can help get you involved with, so that way you can get that internship or get a job after graduation, anything else like that. So internships are super easy, but beyond office hours, we even have different fairs that happen. So we have a whole campus-wide one where campus will bring in a variety of different firms and companies that are looking to hire. And they do that one. It's around Norland Quad. They do it in the fall and spring semester. But then individual majors will also have their own career fair internship opportunities. For instance, our environmental design one, we have it in our lobby of environmental design, and we bring in about 20 firms or so, where students can just walk around and talk to different professionals that are out there and see what they're involved with, whether it's residential or commercial architecture or even landscape architecture, urban planning, anything like that. So if you're really looking to get an internship or anything like that, it's 100% accessible to you as long as you're going out and actually looking for it. If you're just going to be the type of person who sits back and expects things to come, it's going to be a little bit harder. You can still find it, but definitely keep in mind that if you want it, reach out for it. I don't know, what else do you want to add?
Yeah, I know. I think that that's great, especially in terms of internships. Some of our majors require internships. My internet is being really funny, so let me know if any of this didn't get delivered. So for example, journalism and business require internships, so they are heavily involved in giving those opportunities and networking for students.
Yeah, and then on the study abroad option, we do have study abroad options out there, lots of them. We have a whole office that's in our Center for Community, which is our largest dining hall building on campus. And in that building, they have a bunch of different resources that are available for students, but that study abroad is one of them. And we have relations with over 60 countries, and you don't have to feel like you need to study abroad. It's definitely not necessary, but it's there if you do want to. Personally, I haven't studied abroad just because I didn't really want to, but I know one of our ambassadors, she studied abroad in Tokyo for a whole semester, and then she just spent like a week to study abroad in another country. I don't remember which one, but we have tons of different opportunities with the study abroad, whether it's a full year-long study abroad option, or if it's just a semester long, or even we have different ones that are available, like over spring break, you can go and study abroad, anything else like that. So there's tons of options that are available for you. And the study abroad office can definitely help you out with all of the different information that you might need with how those classes can help your degree or anything else like that. And don't feel like studying abroad is going to set you back, because in a lot of cases, it will actually continue to push you forward, which is super sweet. So yeah.
Yeah, perfect. I hope students will consider going abroad. Obviously, that is suspended right now until that is safe and permitted across borders, but great experience that about 25% of our students will do. With that, we are steadfastly approaching the end of the hour. I want to be cognizant that it is late for you all and you may be holding off on your dinners. So I just provided my contact information. Please feel free to contact me if you have questions. I want to say thank you to Kaylin for lending your time to us tonight. One of his last nights for summer vacation before school starts in a couple weeks. And thank you all for your time and attention tonight. We appreciate this spotlight.
Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Caitlin. Lindsay did post the link again, the registration link in the chat. So if you guys missed that in the beginning, if you could please fill that out. And also her email is there if you have any other questions. Do you know how many responses you got? I just want to make sure everyone registered. 10. Okay, so there's a couple that didn't. So yeah, thank you guys. Make sure to check out Jenna's website for more webinars, and thank you, Colorado Boulder. Bye.